Why should you listen to us, right?
Yeah.
We could just be some randoms on the street.
Yeah, that's right. I could just be putting you on the bung steer straight up. I've got no idea what I'm talking about.
So what experience and credibility do we have to be talking about these topics and ideas? Let's start with you, because I reckon you're the one really behind this podcast. I'm just along here for the ride.
Well, nothing works in life without a team of people, so it takes two to tango, and well, more than that, really. Teamwork is integral in anything. So all different journeys of life, and you will meet that in hospitality. That's why it's such a great industry. I've worked with people from all over the world in hospitality. It's been unreal. So,
but we want to hear your experience.
Yeah, true. I know. That's what you asked. That's true.
Let's get on to
and
the
I was
topic.
good at that. I was just trying to deflect.
None of this like false humility, tall poppy syndrome crap.
True.
Let's break the Australian tradition and share our success.
Who am I? My name's Joash. I'm married. I've got a wife called Emily. She's awesome. I grew up in Darwin. I was born there in 1992. I grew up there for the first 21 years of my life, and I worked in almost every single cafe and bar there because I'd last about a month or two and then be like, nah, stuff you, I'm off to the next joint. In that time, I was a swimmer. I wanted to be a professional athlete. I made the top 30 in Australia for swimming in 50, 100, 200 breaststroke. That's a lie. I was only top 30 in the 200 breaststroke. But anyway,
that's impressive.
I started my hospitality journey probably in year 11, I think it was.
In
Food
high school.
and hospitality studies in high school. Mrs. McIntyre, the teacher, I remember her. She was probably one of the culprits to my journey in hospitality. I really fell in love with coffee at the time because my brother was working at Darwin's probably most successful cafe. It was called Ducks Nuts Bar Espresso, which is a pretty funny name. So at the time I used to roll in there, me and my mate Barker, we would go to the cafe after school and have a double shot latte before we go to swimming training. Anyway, I developed a passion. I did a project in Year 11 Food and Hospitality Studies on coffee culture, and that's where I first learnt about the World Barista Championships. And I was like, what? I got a World Barista Championship? That's insane. This is cool. And back then it wasn't really, specialty coffee wasn't as much of a thing. This was back in 2008, I think it was. So it's since then specialty coffee's really taken off. So fast forward, I moved down to Brisbane in 2012 to pursue a career in swimming, and I started university so I could do that, and I ended up swimming for a club in Brisbane, and the coach at the time got me a job in a cafe, and that's kind of where I started to learn about this thing called specialty coffee. And I learned about latte art, and I got really intrigued into latte art. My friend Patches and I, we went down to Melbourne, to the Melbourne International Coffee Expo in 2013, and we witnessed Matt Perger from St. Ali get second place in the World Barista Championships. It was really cool. Well, I thought it was anyway. All my friends at college didn't think the same thing. They were kind of paying me out about it. And that's really where my passion for coffee started. I then went on to a job at Veneziano Coffee Roasters. They're one of the premier specialty coffee roasters in Australia. I learnt a lot about the process from crop to cup. I was also part of a unique time in their history as a company because they got majority purchased by another company called Minor DKL, which owned the Coffee Club franchise. So not only did I learn about specialty coffee, but I also got to learn about franchising and what it takes to build a long-term sustainable business and also franchise model. So I spent a lot of time thinking about why is this franchise model not working as well as they would have hoped. In that time, I actually burnt out. I started working out at a local coffee shop out in the Redlands in Brisbane, and during that time I realised that, hey, look, if I want to do anything with my life or be successful, so to speak, I better go and get a real job. There was a lot of personal reasons why I did that. I got sick of not having any money. I was in a spot where I had to bail on a ski trip with my friends to Japan, and it not only stitched them up, but it also was something I really wanted to do, and I couldn't do it because I had no money, and it was because I was in
that industry.
What I perceived to be an unreliable job. So that led me to get an apprenticeship. I started with Energex in Brisbane. They are the electrical distribution company in Brisbane in southeast Queensland. I went on to work full-time as an electrician building power lines in rural Queensland with Ergon Energy under the same umbrella of Energy Queensland. And I finished, at the same time, I finished my finance degree. So I have a Bachelor of Commerce majoring in finance and management. I have an electrical apprenticeship under my belt, and I have a vast experience in barista training, barista quality control, latte art, you name it, roasting, logistics, crop to cup, and all that sort of thing it entails. So I have a very broad range of experiences in small, medium, and large enterprises, finance. I run a portfolio on my personal accord as well as with some of my, my brother-in-law. I've worked with him on different portfolios and such. So I understand finance, I understand business operations. But if I am to be completely honest, my passion is people, which would fit under organisational behaviour. And how does that work? And how can we make hospitality great again, I guess?
I see that your passion is people. You're really good at connecting people together. And I think this podcast won't just be you and your experiences. It'll be bringing in others and their experiences as well. And you have so many connections with people who've started businesses successfully, unsuccessfully in Australia within the hospitality industry. I mean, even here in Sweden, you'll meet someone at some cafe, get to know them, suddenly they're wanting to invest or sell their beans. And you're an amazing person just to connect people and get them to share their stories, their deep stories, not this superficial rubbish that often constitutes conversation. And I think that's what we want to do. We want to go deep within this podcast. And I really can't compare to your experiences. I'm just along here for the ride. I'm a high school teacher and radio host as well as a property investor myself, and very interested in learning more about the hospitality industry. I think you'll be teaching me a lot. So perhaps I'm the student, you're the teacher, and that's the dynamic that's going to continue as we move on from episode to episode. But that's a little bit about who we are and what we can offer you with this podcast. Again, please subscribe to this podcast, chuck it a like. If there's any way you can get in contact with us, we'll leave some details in the description. We'd love to know your comments, feedbacks, what you would like to hear about, and maybe you are a very experienced person within the hospitality industry and you have a story to share. Man, we'd love to get in contact with you. It's not just about us, it's trying to build a community and a culture around hospitality, coffee, food, whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a good journey. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into it. And obviously, I mean, you have your own journey with hospitality, maybe not.
Well, I mean, everyone's worked in hospitality at some point almost, and I certainly have.
Well, not even directly as an employee, but you interact with hospitality every single day. And
True.
you have memorable moments of good and bad.
Yeah.
So I think there's an equal part to play in the end user as a customer. What do you look for in hospitality? When I go to a cafe, what am I looking for? So, yeah, I think that's absolutely integral to this journey that we're on, is understanding the end user's perspective.
That's true, yeah. And I want to challenge you as well because as an outsider, let's say, you want the theoretical wisdom to actually be practical at the same time. And
yes, yeah, true. And I think that is absolutely needed. And if, I find I don't have an answer for a question that you or anyone may ask, well, I think I'll just be honest with you that I don't know that answer. I'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll come back to you in future episodes to talk about that, to flesh it out and discuss that. And I think that's really what we're trying to do here is work together with not only you and I, Dan, but our listeners to develop this beast called hospitality and improve people's lives, really.
It's an industry that's growing. I mean, a lot of businesses typically are shutting down, moving on to online operations, and what's replacing them? Places to go and eat, places to go and meet. As our world becomes more digital and we're living in smaller and smaller apartments, and maybe do we have less free time, more free time? I don't know, but I've certainly seen that trend, and I think hospitality as an industry is poised to be even bigger in the future.
Yeah, it's true. It's probably one of the most underrated businesses to get into. You talk to any old boomer, they're going to tell you that, no, don't get into that. Too many employees, too many risks, not enough margin, all that sort of stuff. But I think you're actually right, is that in our pursuit of joining the metaverse, so to speak, we will be looking for places to sit and engage in the metaverse. And we were, I guess, to give a very recent example, in Lisbon the other day, and there's 3 lads sitting on their laptops with a coffee, and they're probably there for a couple of hours with a €3 coffee for 2 hours worth of rent space. It sounds pretty crazy, right? But that's reality, is people are going to cafes to do their work now. So we need to, how do we negotiate that? That's 3 tables that, when I was sitting there looking at it, realistically could have fit, 12 people could have fit around that table, and they could have been buying meals, and that would have been huge for your turnover. But instead we gave the spot up for 3 dudes on laptops, how do we negotiate that in hospitality? Because it's important to offer that to people, but how can we do it in a way that's sustainable, not only for us, but our employees and the cafe and the other customers in general?
Lots to talk about.
Heaps.
Stay tuned.
Thanks for listening.